Could you
It's
do
like
me a
when,
favor? And this is maybe an episode we can do later in more depth, but will you define trauma for me?
man, so it's more like defining the symptoms of being traumatized. So the DSM has, so the
Typing,
answer to your
typing,
question is
typing.
no, I can't.
Can I? I'll
Okay,
tell you
so
what I think. While you look up yours, I'll tell you what I kind of tell people what trauma is. And you are studying this, so you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Though I do feel confident in my rightness, because I'm a therapist, bitch.
you're a therapist, yeah.
I think that trauma is something that challenges your understanding of yourself. It takes something away from you. So, like, it can be traumatizing if someone close to you dies suddenly because what is taken from you is the world is a safe place where I'm free from bad things happening to people I love. That's traumatic. If I'm in a car accident that I'm not expecting, it's traumatic because I thought I was safe in a car, but the reality is another missile can hit my missile and then I could die. Or I watch somebody I know get murdered. Or like me, like I talked about last time, where the guy came in and tried to murder somebody. The trauma of that was I'm safe at work. That was taken from me. I now know that bad things can happen at work unexpectedly. The traumatizing thing changed my understanding of myself and my place in the world, and that's what makes it trauma. If you're walking on the street with a friend and they say, that shirt is not a good fit on you, to say, hey, dude, you're traumatizing me. You don't get to say that to me. That's not really trauma because they're not changing your understanding of your safety in the world.
Yeah, that's
You
just
have,
cruel.
yeah, they're just being a dick.
Yeah, and so instead of saying stop traumatizing
Well,
me,
even then, actually, I'm going to push back on that. It's not necessarily being a dick to tell someone they don't look good in what they're wearing, unless you're like, hey, man, you're stupid, fat, and ugly, and that shirt proves it. That's you being a dick. But like, if Pete and I were talking, and I was like, let's say he was wearing a shirt. Pete looks fantastic right now, by the way. But if Pete was wearing something that wasn't flattering, and I was like, oh, Pete, that shirt is not actually doing you any favors. That's just me
no,
telling
no,
an
this
honest thing to a friend.
I'm happy to hear you say that. Stoicism for the win. Just if you say something true, it doesn't have to be cruel.
Yes.
But if you put a value statement to it, like, yeah, you're a horrible person because you're wearing that shirt. I knew you were a skank. That's like,
Josh.
yeah, no. So the reason I took so much time when you asked me a very rudimentary question of what trauma is, and everyone listening goes, oh, he's a trauma researcher, and he took 30 seconds of dead air to look up what it means.
Killing it.
Yeah. So there's what we talked about, the physics or the medical model, which is like very definite, discriminate definition of it. I looked that up. So the DSM-5R defines trauma as exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence. It also means like if you exposure to death, meaning like have you seen a dead body, and when they say like I thought I was going to die, you really have to parse that out and be like, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, and then a lot of people say I knew I was going to die, like I really believed that was the end.
I had
You're like,
accepted
okay,
it.
that qualifies. Yeah, exactly. So if somebody screeches in their car and slides on some ice and barely misses a pole, they may be like, whoa, that was really scary. Or they may be like, that was it. I was thinking of my wife as I was heading towards the pole. Those are two very different reactions to a life-threatening situation that you as a therapist have to say, okay, was that a trauma index event? So that's the DSM diagnosis. What Taylor was talking about was the real or lived experience of a person. And there's actually a theory called the shattered assumptions theory that I come in contact with a lot in when I was doing clinical work.
I was mentioning science? Dang it!
Yeah, you were. You didn't know this, but this shattered assumptions theory is your basic foundational beliefs about the world, yourself, others, or the world. And your experience shattered those beliefs, shattered those assumptions, and not only shattered them to where you're like, well, what do I do now? It changed them to be extreme and erroneous. Like I've said, in trauma, doesn't know the difference between a bonfire and a birthday cake. Because you were in a house fire, you can't have birthday cakes with candles on them because there's no difference between a bonfire and a birthday cake to your trauma. It's hot. It's going to kill me. And so there's the lived experience of like my assumptions were shattered. And like, well, what happened? Well, and it could be something that does not meet the DSM criteria. It's like, well, I skidded on ice towards a pole. All right, what were you thinking? It's like, I was thinking of getting out of there. I was just trying to leave. You're like, well, did you think you were going to die? Well, I don't know. But it changed my whole belief system around what I think about driving in a car. And according to the shattered assumptions theory, that fits. That could be a traumatic event. According to the DSM criteria, it does not. It may not. That's
Uh,
totally up to you as a therapist.